Hey guys, welcome back to BCMN Bracketology. It's great to be back. We're going to start this bracket off. It's ESPN's most recent bracket, and we're super excited because March is coming up, so we're going to be posting a lot now. So thank you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like or even subbing for even more content. So let's hop into this video. So our first pick is Auburn versus the 16 seed. That's going to be Auburn.
Next, we got St. Mary's, Oklahoma. Both teams I really like, but based on recent events, Oklahoma has not been playing up to their standards. So we're going to go with St. Mary's.
Next, we got Xavier, North Texas. North Texas has been great, one of those sneaky good teams, and Xavier, I think, just lost to DePaul, so we're going to go North Texas here.
Next, we got Illinois versus Drake. I think Illinois is very underrated right now. I think they should be a 3 seed, and honestly, I don't understand why Drake is in the tournament. Not saying they're a bad team, but I think Loyola Chicago is going to win their conference, and they're not even going to make it. So I'm going to go Illinois.
Next, we got Lsu Davidson. LSU coming off, I think, a string of like 3 or so losses. Lost to TCU, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. Davidson, love Davidson. They've got their guy, Hyun Jung Lee, incredible scorer. Reminds me of Steph Curry. Obviously not as good as Steph Curry, but has that promise around the 3-point line, and I think they're going to be able to pull off this upset.
Just to add a little to that last one, he is better than Steph Curry ever was. All right. Anyway, Kansas versus Jacksonville State. As much as I want Kansas to lose, they are so much better than Jacksonville State and are easily going to win this game.
Next, we got Indiana versus San Francisco. Both good teams, but Indiana, I think, has that firepower with Trace Jackson Davis, and they're going to have that star talent to be able to perform in the tournament.
Yeah. Next, we got UCLA versus Csu Fullerton. UCLA just has so much talent, even though they've lost maybe the last 2 games to Arizona State. They're just so good, and they're not going to lose to this 15 seed.
Next, we got Purdue. That's pretty straightforward.
Next, we got TCU Wake Forest. Both teams very underrated, but I personally like TCU a lot. They have beaten some really good teams and gone close with teams like Baylor, and they get the job done usually. So let's go TCU.
So next up, we got Alabama versus Toledo. Toledo, I think, just lost to like Ball State or something, a pretty bad loss. Alabama, I like their 3-point shooting and just their size in general. I don't think Toledo will be able to keep up with them.
Next, we got Providence Furman. Furman isn't underrated. I think they might be the best 13 seed in this tournament, but Providence is just so good. There's nothing like unique about them. They're such a team. Like, they play together, they score together. Their defense is great. I really like them. They're gonna win.
So next we got Texas, Seton Hall. Really like both these teams. Both a great 6 seed, both a great 11 seed. Both should be higher up on this list, I think. Texas, I don't think this bracketology just accounted for them beating Kansas, and it might not have even accounted for them beating Iowa State. So they've been dominant. I think they're going to be an incredible team this year and should be way higher than a 6 seed.
Next, we got Houston versus Wagner. I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about Wagner. But Houston, I mean, they're winning games. That's all you can say. That's all you can see. They're winning games, and they're going to win this game.
So next you got USC versus Loyola Chicago. You know what? I'm done doubting them. Loyola Chicago, you give them an extra you give them an extra round in the tournament every year. You have to. That's a rule of March Madness. It'll bite you no matter what, but you have to give them the game.
Next, we got Duke versus Princeton. I think this is going to be the best 15-2 game this year. In saying that, Duke is still going to win by 15, but it's going to be closer than you're going to think.
Yeah, so let's move up. Let's just finish this side. So we're going to go back to Auburn versus St. Mary's. Auburn's just been incredible. Won so many straight. They're not going to lose this game.
Yeah. Next, you got Illinois versus North Texas. Yes, North Texas is a sleeper team. I do agree. But Illinois is just – they have really good talent, especially when they all play together. They've just beat 2 top 15 teams. They're playing really well right now. If Kofi gets in his zone, North Texas is done.
Then you got Davidson, Kansas. Kansas has been really solid this year. They just lost to Texas, but not a really bad loss because we've been saying Texas is incredible. They play a lot of ranked teams and get that experience. However, Davidson, I think, plays like no other team, kind of working the ball in and kicking it out and really just relying on that three. And I think in the tournament with Hyunjung Lee, incredible player. I will keep mentioning his name, and he will just continue to get better and be incredible in the tournament. I think they're going to be able to knock off Kansas in this game.
Next, we got Indiana versus UCLA. I'm going to give props to Indiana. They have looked very good recently. They are one of the best home teams that they had. One of the best home teams this year in general. They beat ranked 4 Purdue. They beat ranked 13 Ohio State. They've been playing really good. But as you know, March Madness is neutral sites, and UCLA knows how to perform in neutral sites. They showed it last year. They have pretty much the same team as last year, and they're going to win this game.
Yeah, so moving down, we got Purdue versus TCU. Pretty straightforward. I think Purdue's going to win this one.
Next, we got Alabama Providence. Honestly, I think it's straightforward, too. Alabama is a good team, yes, but Providence is that team. In my opinion, they're the fans' team. Everyone loves them, and they're going to win. They're going to win.
So next we got Texas versus Houston. Love this 6-3 matchup. Both teams are great. I love the American this year. I think they're kind of scrappy teams, and so is Texas all around. But Texas, I do think, should be like a 3 or 2 seed even. They're incredible. And Houston doesn't really have the wins to back up their 3 seed record, and I think Texas will be able to just kind of out-scrap Houston in this one.
Do we believe in the magic? I'm asking, do we believe in the magic? Loyola knows how to win games in the tournament. They've beaten good teams this year. They've been ranked this year. Duke can lose to any team, but they also have Paolo Banchero. Yeah.
Banchero, yeah.
Banchero, who's really good. Like, that team's really good. They did lose at home today. I'm going to change our pick. We go with the best March Madness team. Loyola Chicago is pulling the 7-2 upset.
10-2.
10-2 upset. Fine.
All right. So moving on, we got Auburn versus Illinois. Illinois, great team with Kofi. Love their size and just versatility all around, but I think Auburn will be able to pull this off.
As much as I hate that. You're right. Anyway, we got Davidson, UCLA. What was the theme of last year, Ben?
What was the theme? Tell me that. Was it UCLA just dominating?
It was UCLA dominating. It was upset city. Well, we had every single seed win last year that wasn't a 16 seed. And this year is going to continue this trend. UCLA may have the talent. Davidson has the shooting. They have the best player in March Madness, and they are winning this game.
The next Steph Curry. So next we got Purdue versus Providence. I love Providence, but Purdue I just think has that talent all around that Providence can't really match. They've got Jalen Ivey, Ide, and then they've also got Travion Williams, who just an incredible team all around. They even have some 3-point scorers in Stefanovic, and I just don't think Providence will be able to keep up with them. I'm super excited for the Purdue versus Illinois game. I want to see how Kofi's able to match up against their talent.
Very fun. Texas versus Loyola Chicago. Do we keep the magic going? Do we do it? No, we don't. As I think so Texas lost first round last year to Abilene Christian as a 3 seed. They have the same roster this year, plus one of the top prospects, plus Minnesota's old point guard Marcus Carr. They've started to heat up. They know how to play together now. I think this team is really scary. I think they can be really good in the tournament. And I think, as much as I love Loyola Chicago's magic, I don't see them beating Texas.
Yeah, so then moving on, we've got Auburn versus Davidson. You know, Davidson, you've made a good run. Hyunjung Lee, incredible performance, but all good things must die, and Auburn will defeat you.
Now we got Purdue versus Texas. Both incredible teams. I can see either of these teams making the tournament. They're making the Final Four. It's really tough because Purdue has a lot of talent, but so does Texas. I think their bigs. Texas has some pretty good bigs. They match up really well with Ide and Williams. Ivy's very good, and he's even matched up with Carr. I think it's a really close game. I think this comes down to the wire, but Texas hits that buzzer beater, and they end this game.
All right, so moving on to the right side of this. Okay, we're going to kind of speed through this a little bit because these are kind of some easy matchups. Zags winning this one.
Boise State, Miami. Both teams have been good this year, but both teams have had some struggles. More Miami, so let's go Boise State.
Then we got Villanova versus Iona. Love both these teams. Villanova just got that talent, though, and I think they're going to win this.
Wisconsin, Vermont. Vermont is a solid 13 seed, but Wisconsin has been very good this year, so we're going to go Wisconsin.
Yeah, next we got Tennessee versus Wyoming or Creighton. Tennessee, really good team, kind of beating some ranked teams, but Wyoming, love Wyoming. I think they're going to win this game. I think if they're up against a different 6 seed, besides obviously Texas, I think they're going to maybe pull that upset off. I think they're kind of sneaky this year, but I do think Tennessee will win.
Next we got Texas Tech versus Oakland. Oakland is the best 14 seed we've ever seen in the history of 14 seeds.
No.
Okay, fine. I'll be realistic. What you say their RPI is number 1?
They were at the beginning of the season.
That just shows how good of a team Oakland is. Anyway, Texas Tech is, I think, my favorite 3 seed. They're very underrated. They've beaten some really good teams. They've beaten Kansas. They've beaten Texas. They've beaten Iowa State. They've just been very solid the entire season, and they're not going to lose to a 14 seed.
Yeah, next we got Iowa versus Colorado State. I think Roddy's going to be able to carry Colorado State in this game at least one round, and he's just an incredible player.
Next we got Arizona, Seattle. We'll talk about Arizona later, but they're going to win this game.
Yep. Next we got Baylor.
Arkansas, Murray State. Both teams have been solid. Arkansas still has that talent. They were solid last year. They were actually not more than solid. They were very good last year. And they're going to win. They're going to continue their hot streak.
Next, we got Ohio State or San Diego State or Oregon. I like Oregon a lot. I think they're going to be able to knock off San Diego State. I do think Ohio State has been unlucky in the past tournaments, but I think this year they're finally going to get out of the first round and be able to win this game.
You say Ohio State won? Or
yep.
Oregon won?
Ohio State.
Okay. Sorry. Marquette, South Dakota State. Marquette. Amazing team. They are so underrated. They're a very good team. I'll talk about them more later. They're going to beat South Dakota State.
Next, we got Yukon versus BYU. Like both teams, Yukon, I always love in these tournaments. I think their guard talent and just size in general is such a great team, and they have a very interesting pace. And I think they're going to be able to win this game despite kind of underperforming last year.
Next, we got Michigan State, Weber State. Michigan State has so much talent. They've been very good this year. Christie's been good. Everyone on that team has been good. They're going to win this game.
Next, we got Iowa State versus North Carolina. Both started the year off pretty solid, kind of been underwhelming the past 2 or 3 weeks. I do think North Carolina is a better tournament team overall, but I think Iowa State has more talent just all around this year and a better chemistry as a team.
Next, we got Kentucky versus Longwood. They're so good. They're going to win this game.
Okay, going back up, we got Zags versus Boise State. Zags are winning this one.
Nova, Wisconsin, a very good 4-5 matchup. I like both these teams. I think this honestly comes down to coaching, and Villanova has a better coach, and they know how to win games in the tournament. They've won 2 championships in the last 6 years or 5 years. They know how to win, and they're going to win this game.
Yeah, so next, moving on, we have Tennessee versus Texas Tech. I wouldn't be surprised either way this game goes. Tennessee is very capable of pulling off like major upsets, as we saw with them being able to knock off Arizona when they were super hot and North Carolina at the beginning of the season. Although I do think it'll be a repeat of what happened last time, and they're going to lose again to Texas. And it's kind of last time it went to overtime, and it kind of shows just how close these two teams are.
Yeah. Next we got Colorado State, Arizona. Both teams have one very good player, like very good. Arizona has Matherin. He might win Player of the Year. He's definitely one of the top candidates. I just think that Arizona has more talent around their best player, and they're another like team basketball team. They play really well together. They were very surprising. I don't think they were ranked at the beginning of the year, but they've turned their season around, and they're really good. They're going to beat Colorado State.
Yeah, next we got Baylor versus Arkansas. Baylor kind of just coming off of a loss, 2 losses in the past 3 games. Although I do think they're going to pick things up by the tournament. They kind of showed this last year. They lost most of their talent over the offseason, but gained a ton too. So I love Arkansas, but I don't think they're going to be able to pull off this upset.
Next we got Ohio State versus Marquette. Ohio State has been good. They've been some very good teams. But, I mean, in Big Ten, anyone can win in the Big Ten. Anyone can lose in the Big Ten. I mean, they lost to Purdue, but like they've actually been very, very solid this year. But Marquette just has that resume so far. They were good at the beginning of the year. They've been good, very consistent the entire year. They're beating good teams, and I'm gonna stick with them. They're coming off a Villanova win. That's a very strong win, and they're gonna beat Ohio State.
Yeah, so next we got Yukon versus Michigan State, both coming off a loss, I think. Michigan State just lost to Rutgers. Although Michigan State, I do think in the Big Ten, anything can really happen in an away game. And I think in the tournament, they're going to be much more prepared and be able to take on this Yukon team.
Yeah. Next we got Iowa State, Kentucky. You asked me who wins this game a month ago. I say Iowa State. Things have completely flipped around. Kentucky has the better roster by far. They got their big man. They got Ty Washington. They're really good. They're really solid, have great coaching. Everything about them is better than Iowa State as of right now. And I go Kentucky.
Yeah, now moving back up, we got Zags versus Villanova. Zags, Chet, not going to allow them to lose this game. I think they're going to win this one, and I think it's going to be surprising just how much of a blowout it is. Both teams are very big names, but I still think the Zags are just going to crush them.
All right, next we got Texas Tech, Zona, a 3-2 matchup. Both are very good teams. I can see either one winning this game and then either one beating Gonzaga next round. It's really tough to choose. But as of right now, Arizona has been the better team. They play basketball. I wouldn't say play basketball better, but they've beaten better teams. They beat UCLA a couple nights ago. They're playing really good basketball. And you got to look at those star players, and Matherin is that star player. And I think they're going to beat Texas Tech.
Yeah, so next we got Baylor versus Marquette. Baylor's been kind of struggling recently. I do think they're going to pick it up in the tournament, but as of right now, Marquette's been super hot. Despite one loss to Providence, who we said before is an incredible team, they've been really playing at an exceptional level, and they're able to win these close games. Time and time again, they get close to these games. They come down to 1, 2, 3 point games, and they're able to come out ahead. So I think they're going to be able to squeeze this one through and beat Baylor here.
Yeah. Next we got Michigan State, Kentucky. Both teams have really good rosters, great talent. But let's just go through Kentucky's schedule recently. They beat Tennessee by about 30. They barely lost to Auburn. Beat Kansas on the road, beat Alabama on the road. They know how to play on the road. They know how to play when it's a neutral site. Their talent is really good. They got, I don't know how to pronounce his name. The Shabwa. I definitely
Tshiebwe, yeah.
But he's been very good. Ty Washington has been very good. Kentucky knows how to win games in the tournament. They didn't make it last year, but they're coming back this year, and they're making the Elite Eight.
Yeah, so now to make the Final Four, Zags or Arizona. I hate having to choose between these games because I love them both. Zags have been playing like crazy ever since that loss to Alabama. They've been playing like they're almost possessed and just destroying teams left and right. Arizona, similarly, after they lost that game to UCLA, they kind of got their revenge and have been playing incredible. Although the thing is, I think Zags recently haven't been really playing the most elite competition, and Arizona is constantly having to play ranked teams and is constantly tested and kind of overcoming these tests. And I think Arizona just has that team chemistry to be able to kind of topple the Zags that we saw last year that Baylor was able to do.
Yeah. Next we got Marquette, Kentucky. A great matchup. Marquette has been playing really well. Besides that one loss to a really good Providence, they've beaten some really good teams, like some key moments. Seton Hall, Villanova on the road, Xavier, just some really good teams. But I think, once again, the tournament sometimes comes down to the best player on the court. And in my opinion, that is Ty Washington. And he's going to take over this game and beat Marquette.
Yeah, so now we're moving into our Final Four, and before we get into our Final Four, I just want to say thank you for sticking around this far in the video. We know it's a kind of a longer video, but this is our first bracketology of the year, so we kind of wanted to elaborate a little bit more on it. And if you're watching still, please consider hitting that subscribe button. So let's hop into this. And we've got our first matchup of the Final Four, Auburn versus Texas. Love Texas recently. We've kind of been praising them. But Auburn's just been so good. They're such a good tournament team. A couple of years ago when they got their shot in the tournament, they just went for it and were able to kind of knock off some great teams and then advance to the Final Four before getting cheated by Virginia, and they're going to win this game. Not going to let it happen again in the Final Four.
All right, next we got Arizona versus Kentucky. Both teams are great. And they both have star players. They both have team chemistry. Everything about them is great. Some key moments through history. 2005, last time Illinois was very good. Guess who's also very good? Arizona. And if I'm not mistaken, Kentucky was not that good this year. I think history repeats themselves. Arizona, Matherin, takes the dub, coming from nothing to be one of the best teams in the country and making it to the finals.
Not sure how that relates to history at all, but I guess that is. Next, we've got Auburn versus Arizona. Our final matchup. Love them both. Both been incredible since losing at the beginning. Just been probably arguably the two hottest teams in the nation. And we're just going to go off of who's hotter right now, and that's Auburn. And they are going to be able to be the champions this year. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is our initial bracket prediction. Feel free to subscribe and stick around for more content, and have a good one.